All right, welcome back. In today's explainer, we are going to do a super focused breakdown of a classic GCSE chemistry question. We're going to tackle question 05, all about fertilizers, straight from an AQA paper, and I'm going to show you exactly how to lock in every single one of those marks.
Okay, so let's get right into it. This whole question is worth a total of 8 marks. The challenge I'm setting for you right now is, could you get all of them? Think of this as a little pop quiz before we dive in and reveal all the secrets from the examiner's mark scheme.
So here it is, question 05 from the higher tier paper. It's all about fertilizers, which you know is a massive topic in chemistry. We're going to break this down piece by piece, looking not just at the right answers, but at the exact wording the mark scheme is looking for. First up is question 05.1. This one's a pretty straightforward 2-marker. That means there are 2 correct answers hiding in there, and our job is to find them. It's really just a test of your knowledge on what makes up NPK fertilizers. So, the question is asking which 2 of these compounds contain 2 of the essential NPK elements, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Here are your options: ammonium nitrate, ammonium phosphate, calcium chloride, calcium phosphate, potassium chloride, and potassium nitrate. Have a quick look. Which 2 would you tick? And the 2 correct answers, pulled directly from the official mark scheme, are ammonium phosphate and potassium nitrate. So, why these 2? Well, let's break it down. Ammonium phosphate, that's got nitrogen and phosphorus. Potassium nitrate has potassium and nitrogen. See? Each one has 2 of the big 3. That kind of precision is exactly what gets you the marks. Boom! 2 marks in the bag. Easy, right? Let's move on to the next part and see how the question starts to build. We're now looking at 05.2, which is another 2-marker.
Okay, so this next bit is a classic test of your acid-base reaction knowledge. The setup is that rocks with calcium phosphate are treated with acids to make soluble fertilizers. Your job is to name the soluble salt you get when it reacts with nitric acid, and then what you get when it reacts with phosphoric acid.
Now, this is where getting the names exactly right is crucial. For nitric acid, the mark scheme wants to see calcium nitrate. Simple. But look at the answer for phosphoric acid. This is interesting. The mark scheme actually accepts either calcium triple superphosphate or calcium dihydrogen phosphate. Knowing that both of those specific terms are good for a mark is a massive advantage in an exam. All right, 4 marks down, 4 to go. And now we get to the big one. This is the 4-mark evaluation question. This is where you have to move beyond just remembering facts and really start comparing, contrasting, and making some solid judgments. So this is what the question looks like on the actual paper. You're given 2 totally different ways of making ammonium sulfate. One is a big industrial process, and the other is a small-scale laboratory method. And your task is to evaluate them for producing a large mass of the stuff. So let's check out the industrial process first. It's laid out in 3 steps. Now, pay really close attention to the words they use here. Things like reacting streams of solution, passing it down a column, and collecting crystals continuously. These are all huge clues about how this process works on a big scale. Okay, now compare that to the lab method. It's a whole different story, isn't it? It's much more involved, 5 separate steps. We're using a little conical flask, waiting around for it to cool, doing some filtration, and drying with filter paper. It just sounds so much more hands-on, much slower, like you're making one small batch at a time. So you can clearly see they're different, right? But what are the magic words the examiner is actually looking for to give you those 4 marks? What are the key evaluation points that are going to unlock that full score? And here is the big reveal. This is exactly what the mark scheme says, word for word. To get 1 mark, you have to say the industrial process is large scale. For the second mark, that it's quicker. For the third, that it's a continuous process. And remember, the opposite also works. Saying the lab method is small scale, slower, or a batch process also gets you the points. That final 4th mark comes from making a reasoned judgment, basically tying it all together to say which one is better for making a large mass. And just like that, that's the full 8 marks. But let's take a step back for a second. What's the really big takeaway from this whole exercise that you can use in all of your exams? Because here's the real key, and this applies to every exam you take. You might know tons about these processes. Maybe that one is more energy efficient or something. But if those awesome facts aren't on the mark scheme, you don't get any marks for them. The secret is giving the examiner the specific points they are looking for. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. Knowing your chemistry, that gets you in the door. But understanding how to use that knowledge in the way the exam wants, that's what gets you the top marks. Remember this, knowing the answer is only half the battle. Knowing how to answer is the other half. Keep that in your head and you'll do great.